There was some question as to whether Tyler Wilson would be competing as well. He's still listed, but don't see him out there, so it looks like it is going to be a two-person race on the men's side. And they're going to start on opposite sides of the track. So it will be Dunphy and Solms in the men's race, and in the women's race, Maya PIESIK, Amelia Tolonix, and Olivia Lundman. And there are the trio of women who will contest this event.
And Adam, I gotta say, PIESIK there on the inside was the winner of the New Balance Nationals in Philadelphia a couple weeks ago, and I had the privilege of not only calling her race, but then doing a post-race interview with her down showing how Canadians can get the job done in the U.S., and she said that she's only been race walking in the last few months, but has really enjoyed it. So in her first year of competition, she's having a great time, literally and figuratively, on the track.
She also has the BC High School title to her name this year, so a lot of early success for PIESIK. Represents the Vancouver Thunderbirds.
So this is not something you see every day, Adam, with the women starting on one side and the men on the other, and we believe that's just to keep some compliance issues in check here so that they can make sure that if records go down, it's not considered a mixed start.
Lundman out to the early advantage on the women's side, Dunphy on the men's side. Lundman looking for a little redemption today after getting disqualified at the Canadian Championships in Guelph last month. She is a two-time Canadian champion. As you mentioned, Kate, she was a teammate of Dunphy's at the Paris Olympics in the marathon race walk mixed relay. Dunphy and Lundman finishing 20th in that event.
And this is a real treat. You alluded to this, Adam, but a treat for these race walkers who are so used to contesting on the roads, usually on a 1 or 2 kilometer closed loop circuit, and that's a lot of loops. I mean, you're still running or walking in a circle, I should say, here on a track, but at least you have an engaged and excited fan base that's in a contained environment, can cheer you on. There's folks on the infield, folks on the outside of the track, and a little bit more of that sort of star power fishbowl idea that we have in the track proper compared to the roads.
I remember speaking with Dunphy after his win at the Commonwealth Games a few years ago in Scotland, and they held the race walks in the same stadium as all the other events, and it was packed, and he said that was one of the most fun races he ever took part in, because you feed off the energy, don't you?
Absolutely. I remember watching that from afar. I unfortunately was not in stadium, but feeling like I was, and part of that was the atmosphere. It was a sold-out stadium, and of course in the UK they love track and field, have a real appreciation for it. There's Lundman again. She's really at the beginning of her career, as Adam is, I won't say in the twilight of his, but he's been at it for a long time, and really cool to see him sort of mentoring and passing the torch a little to the next generation. But yes, that experience in stadium, it's really hard to beat. It's uncommon again for these race walkers, so I hope they're able to soak up this opportunity here today in Burnaby.
I also joke that typically, as you mentioned, Kate, the race walks are held on road courses, so you don't typically get those huge crowds. However, at the Tokyo Olympics that were held behind closed doors for the most part due to the COVID-19 pandemic, he joked that the race walk had one of the better attendances because it was held on public streets, so you could go out as a member of the public and just watch, whereas, unfortunately for you, when you were competing in the 5,000, it was in a closed stadium.
I was going to say, I can attest personally to that. Would have loved to have a little bit more crowd atmosphere, but, you know, I've had that for most of my career, so I'll take it. And you know what? Adam looking really strong right now. Look how fast he is. I cannot get over the power and speed with which these guys and gals walk around this circuit. Adam is just on fire right now. He looks so good.
It's not the tripod, it's people underneath.
So this is a really fun moment for me, fellow broadcaster Adam Dunphy, because I realize that I have been referring to your brother Evan as you, and we can call it whatever we want in terms of it being a bit of a slip there, but Evan Dunphy, your younger brother, sir, is looking quite good out there, and you're sounding great as well on our broadcast. So forgive me for confusing the ever-talented Dunphy brothers.
Well, I thought you were trying to push me off the broadcast a little earlier when you said I was in the twilight of my career, so I appreciate that.
Easy mistake. Again, talented in different ways, but equally so. As Evan Dunphy makes his way again towards his protege and teammate Lundman just ahead of him.
So sometimes you will see when they are racing together, Evan might have some words of encouragement or some coaching for Lundman, and as he makes the pass here, we'll see if the coach has anything to say. Dunphy looking strong, Lundman looking strong as well. Dunphy appears to be pretty happy with the performance so far. Didn't appear to be saying anything.
Well, as you mentioned, this is a relative sprint, so you got to save your breath in this race.
And 4 laps to go for Dunphy.
4 laps left to go for Dunphy, who holds several national and area records. He, for a moment this year, held the world record in the 35-kilometer race walk, but that has since been broken. He walked 2:21:40 back in March in Slovakia. But that is still the area record, the NACAC record.
Is his halfway mark, and we will introduce here as he moves the back half of the race that he is the holder of the Canadian record in this event at 11:07:25.
His personal best over this distance, 11:28:41, but that came more than 7 years ago now, down in Australia.
Again, set the world record of the 35 kilometers earlier this year. As the fastest ever time on Canadian soil, which is also the Canadian record, 11:07:25. And you can help him out here on this back half of the race. Keep the momentum going for Evan Dunphy.
This will be about 1,200 meters left for Dunphy when he crosses the finish line next time. Clean performances from what we've seen so far. You see the officials surrounding the track, looking closely at the form of each of these competitors. 2 rules in race walk. 1 leg always has to be in contact with the ground, and the front leg has to have its knee bent. If you do see one of the officials put a paddle out, that is just a warning to the athletes that their form is slipping a little bit, but hasn't crossed the line into an actual caution at that point. And if you're a competitor, you don't actually know when you've been given, or excuse me, I should say a foul, because a judge can only give 1 foul per competitor. So they keep the mystery there so the competitors don't know which of the judges gave them that, so they don't relax their form around that judge, knowing that they can't ding them again.
I thought it was because we knew that these guys are just so full of muscle power that they might go after one of those judges. That would be a real concern for me. Again, that speed and that turnover, so impressive for Mr. Dunphy. And you know him so well. I mean, looking at his face, every once in a while, it's hard for me to tell whether Evan is grimacing or smiling. And I know that that relaxation in the face of forcing yourself to, not forcing yourself, but leaning into a smile sometimes can really help. And yet, there are times where I'm not certain that he's full of joy or full of pains. Maybe it's both.
These, in the term or the race walk sense of things, these sprint events, a lot more speed in play here, whereas typically the race walk events at the World Championship and the Olympic level, they're more endurance based. At the upcoming World Championships, there'll be a 35-kilometer and a 20-kilometer race. Dunphy already named to the Canadian team in the 35K race.
Less than 500 meters remain from Dunphy.
And Dunphy is going to hear the bell momentarily.
As he reaches the bell, and about 9:34 on the clock.
And his PB in the 3,000 race walk, 11:28.41, set 7 years ago. So we could see something special here.
He's been a man on a mission from the beginning. And as you mentioned, just maybe struggling just a little bit over the last little while, but looking in fantastic form as that smile/grimace is on full display striding down the stretch here.
As the men's and women's leaders kind of equidistant to each other, and they start at 200 meters apart, and now 200.
The final 200 meters is Dunphy now.
And the time will be 11:07.25. He set that Canadian record. Set it in Coquitlam in 2024.
So I have to make a quick correction here. He has gone faster than that time. He's gone 11:07.25. That is the Canadian record. It is about to fall. He's into the final straightaway. The home crowd cheering him on. And a great day at the track for Dunphy. He's bested his own Canadian record by quite a bit. It was 11:07.25, 11:02.07 unofficially. We'll wait and see what the final time is, but still about 5 seconds that he's taken off his own record.
Absolutely astounding. And I thought honestly he was going to come awfully close to breaking that 11-minute mark. I think he did too. He is clearly happy with it. The arms go up, and you know, he's such a performer. He shows up every time, but he does it so well in front of a relative home crowd here. That's got to feel great. And you heard how loud that cheer was. Again, not every day that these race walkers get the opportunity to cross the line to a full stadium of very knowledgeable and appreciative supporters.
Well, Soames in second right now, and this again a home race for him as well. He's into the final 200 meters of his race. So it's 11:02.07 for Dunphy to take the win and to better his own Canadian record. There is the leader in the women's race, Olivia LUNDMAN. Canadian record for 3,000 meters on the women's side belongs to Rachel Seaman. She walked 12:23.84 back in 2014. And it's going to be about 12:58 there for Lundman to win the women's race, and Solms across the line for second on the men's side. Solms coming across in 12:58.86. PIESIK. Some international experience for her already this year, competing down at the New Balance Nationals. It's a BC High School Championship under her belt as well in 2025. Looking strong. Good form from the high schooler.
Well, PIESIK, again, continuing to look fantastic, and she mentioned both Lundman and Dunphy as her inspiration in this event. Again, she's so new to it, and look at her coming across that line. She's such a fighter. 14:24 unofficially, and what a fantastic performance for the newly minted race walker. And we should also mention that that appeared to be a big personal best for Olivia Lundman. She has a 14:25 to her name, and came across there with a sizable improvement on that. So brilliant performances on both the men's and women's side here in this, again, relative sprint of a race walk, as we have one more athlete still on track.
Amelia Toleniks for the Langley Mustangs. Okay, sometimes when you watch the race walk, you don't really appreciate just how fast some of these athletes get going. I think a lot of runners would be happy to run a 4-minute kilometer. Not you, but a lot of runners.
Hey, there's days where I'd be thrilled to run a 4-minute kilometer.
Well, that's what you'll see thrown down at these world and Olympic events. And that's over 50 kilometers, 35 kilometers. So Dunphy coming through in this, as we say, sprint event in 11:02:07. So that's well under a 4-minute per K pace.
I think that's such helpful context. You're watching this, and it's really hard to get a sense of exactly how fast they're moving, but as you mentioned, averaging around 4 minutes per kilometer walking is, again, something most folks would be very happy to do running, never mind with all of the sort of form stipulations that you mentioned as the fatigue builds. And our final athlete making her way towards the line. She'll be just outside 17 minutes, it appears here. But again, you can hear that crowd in the background. They get it. People here really appreciate this meet. They turn up time and time again in the stands, and they're looking to support every athlete turning up as their best selves on the track. And it looks as though one more lap to go maybe here for our final competitor.
And Toleniks, another local athlete competing for the Langley Mustangs. Langley about a half-hour drive or so from Burnaby, depending on what time of day you decide to make that drive.
No, he left.
Very smooth form from Tolonix. And I haven't seen one paddle presented through the entirety of this race.
So I believe there was one board there that had one of the fouls listed, but not many.
Tolonix now into her final lap. Just over 200 meters left to go for Tolonix. Beautiful track here at Swan Guard Stadium. It's hosted the Jerome for so many years. Often plays host to the BC High School Track and Field Championships. Been lapped many times on this track myself. The final straightaway now is Tolonix.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Can you please repeat?
And Tolonix will finish up for third, about 21:52. Olivia LUNDMAN out to offer her congratulations. It's a pretty warm day for 12 and a half laps around the track.
It is indeed, but that did not slow down Mr. Evan Dunphy with that new Canadian record of 11:02:07. Fantastic performance by him. So two Soms and our three women's competitors as well.
Well, that will conclude the race walks. Up next on the track, we've got the hurdles. But before that, we'll step aside for a quick break. You're watching the 2025